But Simon, 20 years of the January transfer window. When you look at it, 3 billion quid has been spent in 20 years of the window. Yeah. Has it enhanced the English game or harmed it?
A bit of both, I think. I think it's enhanced it because it's made it such a spectacle in terms of the broadcasters have made such a hullabaloo. You're responsible for that, by the way.
Thank you.
Of the January transfer window, that it's made it such a stable diet of the football world that it's increased the opportunities for broadcasters to want to generate revenue for football because they see the benefit of the viewing figures, of the advertising revenues that can be generated around markets like this, and they know it's part of the football pyramid's now thinking around the world, and the Premier League sits on top of that pyramid amongst all domestic leagues. That's the upside. The downside is it's created a landscape of inflated transfer fees, ridiculous valuations, over-egging of the pudding, which give agents more power and more influence in the game. And that has its own negative effects because you're now in a situation where agents divide football clubs from their players. They create disharmony. You see situations like you saw from the boy from Brighton wanting to put something out on social media because he knows that the leverage is there. Yeah. And you see it repeatedly and endlessly, and player power becomes more of an equation because they know that time is against this scenario. Bad business comes in time-limited spaces where you're trying to find a way to create a solution to a problem but only have a certain amount of time to do it in. So with all those things in mind, I think if you're looking at it on a balance of which is better and which is worse, I think it's 60-40 in favour of it being worse.
Yeah, but if you had your way, you'd have the window open all season.
Indeed I would.
So it would be crazy time for 12 months.
No, it wouldn't. It would be more balanced, more measured, more considered, more constructive, less about racing down egg timers to get to the point where you're seeing people being bought for ridiculous prices on the last day of a window. Agents don't have the leverage. Players don't have the leverage. People have the ability to be able to fleet of foot. And by the way, what's also important, and I know we do spend time thinking about it, this isn't about 20 clubs in the Premier League. This is about 72 clubs outside of the Premier League that sometimes need to trade players at times when their cash flow's gone. So if you've got a player and you're in banging trouble and your owner runs out of money in October, you can't do anything until January. And then by that time, everyone knows that you're out of money. And so what happens then is the player you're trying to sell for a decent value is then devalued to get the person out of trouble in the first place. I think it's a restrictive trade. I think it's poor. I understand from the media point of view why it works. I understand from the show business point of view why it works.
But you need a deadline, Simon.
No.
You need a deadline.
No.
If you didn't have a deadline, you'd have Anthony Gordon situations on a regular basis. You'd have Moises Caicedo situations on a regular basis.
You'd have the ability to be able to trade when you wanted to, when you needed to. You'd be able to supplement. Now, I'm not suggesting you should have it open post-March, because then you start to see clubs that are in second from bottom of the league buying players and people that are fourth from bottom to be able to affect outcomes that then start to sort of pollute the sporting integrity of something. But I do believe that freedom of trade in any other industry exists. Deadlines, you're right, Jim. Deadlines are always a good thing because it concentrates the minds of people and it concentrates an outcome. You know, that's why we constantly hear when clubs go into administration, there's a deadline. Now, we know that deadlines are false start because most of the time those deadlines are never hit. In football terms, it makes deals happen. But what it does do is it makes deals happen in the worst possible way, with the worst possible economics. And whether people like it or they don't, football is a business.
Yeah.
And people getting paid too much money. And that's why perhaps there's more energy behind starting to regulate agents to take that out of the equation so that kind of money doesn't get ripped out of the system. But I don't like it. I believe that you should be able to buy and sell players when you want. It was only ever brought in to combat the Bosman ruling, and at the same time as people like Alex Ferguson were supporting it. Well, that was great for Man United at the time because they could easily buy and not have to worry about having to do things at different times in the season because they could buy what they wanted, when they wanted, and afford to have a window closed on them because they've done their business.
Okay.
Some people can't operate that way.
Seems it's here to stay, though, Simon. Like it or not like it, but
absolutely.
It seems it's here to stay.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.